Yes, Barb, we saw that great catch by Nico Horner, but it was Ian Happ that provided the power for tonight's game, presented by Illinois Pork Producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. Fork that pork. His 24th and 25th homers of the season, tying his career high. Happ, now close to a 4-WAR player. He entered the night tied for the team lead with a 3.7 F-WAR with Dansby Swanson, who struck out 4 times. Is that correct?
I know he didn't have a good night.
He did not have a good night tonight. Yeah. Okay, so we were like, listen, can he get to 4 by the end of the season? Well, last year you had Swanson, Steele, Horner, and Bellinger, all 4+ F-WAR last year. So that got me to thinking, where does this season stack up for Ian Happ? It's been because it's been a bad team, very mid, and he had a stretch that wasn't good where people were calling for trade, DFA, all kinds of crazy stuff on Twitter back in May, right? Now that it's almost all said and done, where does this type of season from Ian Happ stack up? Now, he could win his 3rd straight Gold Glove. Mm-hmm. Again, it's left field, but he's one of the best at the position he plays, right? So I started looking. When's the last time they had a 5-WAR player, right? Like a 4-WAR player is nice, but they had 4 of those last year and they went nowhere. Mm-hmm. When's the last time they had a 5-WAR? That was Javi Baez in 2019, a 5.6 F-WAR. All right, that's the type of player you start to need when you're going to get to the playoffs and do some damage. That's a player that other teams will start to fear in a lineup, right? 2016. This is what I think is interesting about this season for Ian Happ. In 2016, obviously they had the great season from Chris Bryant. Rizzo had a great season, but they had 2 players that are right where Ian Happ is right now. In fact, Ian Happ's 3.7 is better than these 2 players. 2 players had a 3.6 F-WAR in 2016 for the Cubs. Happ will finish ahead of them. Who were they? Ben Zobrist and Addison Russell. Now, people were thrilled with those 2 players that season. Mm-hmm. Thrilled. But that just goes to show you it's not a one-player deal. You've got to have the 7-WAR guy around the 3.7s and the 4s. They had 4 of them last year. Didn't matter. 2016 had Zobrist, Russell, Hendricks, Arrieta, all at around 4. And then you had Rizzo and Lester and Bryant at 7-something.
Mm-hmm. And 1 MVP. Yeah.
And 1 MVP. Right. That's the difference.
Yeah. And this year, Ian Happ leads the Cubs in Fangraphs WAR with 3.7, and Dansby Swanson's right behind him with 3.1, and he was terrible offensively for 3 months.
Right, and so that's what I'm saying. Like you pointed out, after the first home run, people would be very excited to have Happ on their team in left field. If you had somebody like Soto in the lineup, you'd be like, wow, but this guy in left field is having a great season too.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
Ian Happ is like Ben Zobrist. I feel like you could name maybe 4 guys on this team and you could have slot them into the Ben Zobrist role in 2016 and people would think completely different about those players. And Ian Happ is number 1 on
Everybody was
list.
happy with Addison Russell in 2016.
Right.
Everybody was happy with Ben Zobrist. He's the MVP of the World Series.
Right.
Who didn't love him? Kyle Hendricks was a 4-WAR in 2016.
Yeah. Well, I brought it up to you because I've been saying this online for the last couple months. Like, Ian Happ is on pace to have a better season than the year he went to the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. And because he had a terrible start to the year is why, he probably didn't get any real looks at being an All-Star this year. But he was so great in June. He's been so great June and on, he's definitely tonight with the 25th homer in the 9th inning off a 103-mile-an-hour pitch from Mason Miller. He's now tied his career high in homers. I know he's right around his career high with RBIs and runs scored too. So credit to Bleacher Nation for sending that tweet earlier tonight. But the point is that so many people want Ian Happ gone. So many people want him traded, all these things, and they don't realize just how valuable of a player he is. And I know last night I said that because we were talking about Owen Casey, that the Cubs are going to have to mix things up. They have to move someone. And I mentioned Ian Happ. And it's not that I really want to trade Ian Happ.
Well, you don't want to trade Nico Horner either. Look at the play, but
they have to change.
Something has to change.
They have to change something because this team isn't good enough to win, to even get the last spot in the wild card. So you can't just, it's insanity if they completely run this team back the same as it is constructed right now. And on top of the fact you just continuously would be leaving guys in Iowa for what? I don't know. So that's all. Again, that's a whole nother conversation. The point of this conversation is that Ian Happ continuously gets so
he's
doesn't get enough.
underappreciated.
He's
underappreciated because of what's in the lineup.
Yeah.
And other guys are probably underappreciated too. If they're in just their own role, it's great. But as Chef Kevin says in the live YouTube chat, he's right. You've got Judge, who's a 10 WAR. You got Witt, who's close to a 10 WAR. Superstar players change what the rest of the guys in the lineup look like.
Mm-hmm.
Happ's probably seen even better pitches with someone in there. And I forget who just had this. Someone's like, Roberto, star bat, close to an ace, big bullpen piece. This team takes the division. I don't disagree with that, but that's a big ask in an offseason. Mm-hmm. Now, it shouldn't be, two of the three shouldn't be that big of an ask for a team that, is the Chicago Cubs.
Right.
And you better get at least one of those three in the offseason and then hope guys develop. If one of those three doesn't happen in the offseason, you got major problems going into next year. Then it's the same old, same old.
Yeah.
I would suggest two of those three things have to happen this offseason.
And to be honest with you, Luke, I don't feel confident in any of them happening. I really don't.